David, I'm curious to know what fills you with a sense of optimism.
I think the awareness, the collectivist, and the use of technology of the young generations is what I'm optimistic about, in the sense that, yeah, I know there's more suicides in teenagers because of social media. Yes, I know the attention span's gone down, but the Gen Z, the digital natives, because they are digital natives, you and I are immigrants into the digital landscape. We came to it as adults. They're original. So as I see them coming in, they think of things in the absolute. They think of things in the collective. They are collective the way they think. So I think that if you want to move from hashtag money first to hashtag humanity first, I think there's a greater sense of a collective we in the younger generation than the older generations, which were raised on the iconic loner or the individual rights, or I've got more stuff than you've got, and that's So I'm optimistic on that. I'm optimistic that there's a sharing economy. I'm optimistic that people buy used now. I'm optimistic that people understand what they can do for the climate, and yet they so don't understand that they're the problem. I mean, there's an awareness the younger you go on the issues that you and I have been talking about. So I'm most optimistic. Your kids are the future, not you, not me. And it's how you raise them. And it sounds like you're doing a really conscious and aware job of it, that you're really creating the future. And I think that that's when you look at your kids, other than feeling love, given the type of thinker that you are, you should feel optimism.
Oh, I feel optimism probably to a fault.
Well, yeah.
I think that I'm realistic around the world, but I have a very strong sense that we'll make the right choices and solve the problems.
Yeah,
and know that there will be future problems. And what I tell my kids, this is something new within the last year, maybe 18 months, is the world has always had problems. The world has problems right now. The world will always have problems. But choose one or two. Focus on trying to solve those. Make some progress. And just know there are other good people around the world who are focused on the other ones. We can figure these things out. And what I don't want them to do, David, is get overwhelmed, because when they are on social media, when that time comes, or when they're able to go online, they can read about the problems 24/7. When you were a kid, when I was a kid, we read about the problems twice a day, or we learned about the problems twice a day, right? When the morning newspaper came and in the evening news. And that's it. Then we went about our day. But I feel like there's this overwhelming crush of news that young people have access to, that they feel responsible for. Floods in Libya, or earthquakes in India, or Uyghur persecution in China. Like, yeah, these are all problems. They're not all your problems to solve. You can be aware of them, but they're not all yours to solve.
It's not only great parental advice, it's great advice. The example that comes to mind is, I'm involved and co-founded a global nonprofit called This Spaceship Earth. As Marshall McLuhan said, there are no passengers on Spaceship Earth. We are all crew. How do you create crew consciousness? Number one, and we've learned this, Tim and I, who co-wrote The Spaceship Earth and then launched the foundation, we understand that there has to be a commitment. I want to learn how to crew this Spaceship Earth. The second thing is to get educated. That's why we wrote the Quartermaster's Report. Here's the state of the planet every 6 months. Okay. Then the next thing, and this is the point, is have them do something. In other words, if you start out with recycling, you'll feel good about the fact that you're doing it. Oh, let me get into composting. And then you're doing composting. And then guess what? You're doing composting with the neighborhood collectively, and you're getting everybody's trash. So give people something that they can do to solve the problem. When they feel good that they've solved it, they'll keep going on. You know, the classic example I give is this woman I know who is now a senior executive in the largest wind turbine company in the world. She had a transition period. She was on a vacation in Hawaii with her husband who was working. She walked on the beach and she picked up a couple of bottles of plastic. She felt good about it. The next day she went back to the beach and she took a plastic bag and filled it up with stuff. That started her. And then she did this. And she has a beehive in her backyard. And now it shaped her career. She's a senior executive in the largest wind turbine company because she just did one thing to solve a problem, and then she did more to solve that problem. So, you know, you're raising your kids exactly the right way to develop crew consciousness. You know, you're the person who steers. You're the person who cleans. You're the person who, right? We have to collectivize our attitudes and our efforts perfectly the way you just said it.